Welcome back, Outlaws. We are here at our outlaw cabin. Can you see the cabin? Can't see the cabin either. The cabin is kind of behind me. We have begun the process of laying out our pads and our piers for the cabin build. I want to apologize in advance. We start wanting to record the video and our dogs begin to raise Cain. Can't help that one. We're going to try to talk over them. However, if at any point we have to, get up and pause or something like that, you'll understand why. Wanted to just give you a little bit of an update on what we've been working on here lately, because she's been busy. I've been a little bit busy. A little bit.
A lot.
We've had a lot going on. So this past week, I got to go to North Carolina by myself. So for those of you who are not aware, that's originally where we're from. We moved out here to Arkansas 3 years ago. And
Almost 4.
oh, well, no, it's actually just been barely 3. March was 3 years. So 3 1/4. But we moved out here and we had nothing on this property when we first began. And we've come a long way in 3 years. We've taken this property from nothing. Literally, the area behind the camera that's obviously not in view right now is our driveway, and all we could do when we first bought the property was pull our camper in and pull the truck that pulled the camper in out. That was all we could do. When we first got here, moved here on the property, which was in March of the following year, we were able to bring our Suburban in here. With a U-Haul truck full of stuff, or U-Haul trailer rather, full of stuff. Not a big U-Haul trailer. It was the little one. But it was full. It was full. And we were able to pull it in here and it get turned around to where we could pull everything back out, a couple days later to return the U-Haul. But beyond that, we didn't really have anything here on the property.
No.
And in that time period, we've gone from nothing. We've seen the little hurdles we had to jump through, getting water on the property, trying to get some semblance of normalcy on the property. Initially, that was a generator for power. And this was, again, 3 years ago when we came out here. And even then, gas wasn't cheap.
No,
Even
it's
then.
still expensive. But we only ran it only at night, just to charge things and let us get things done for, the night.
So that's a good point. Whenever you are on a homestead and you first get out to the property and you're trying to figure out how do you get going, how do you get started? Some things that you can avoid, some pitfalls: waste of any sort. Wasted time, wasted effort, wasted money. All of these are precious commodities, things that you've got to figure out how to use to the best of your advantage without having to reduplicate your efforts and without necessarily losing whatever it is that you're trying for you to try to obtain. So what I mean by that is, if you are wanting to homestead and you want to bring your family along for the journey, you do have to bear in mind that there's going to be a bit of a shock between where you were at before and what it is that you're going to be doing now.
I think our daughter's coming to join us.
I wasn't sure. I didn't know.
That's why we set an extra chair there for
We
you.
put one here just for you, young lady.
Just for me?
Yes.
From royalty? I'm just kidding.
Well, actually, I've got the seat in the middle, so that
Oh, yeah,
makes
makes
me a
you-
royalty. Yes.
So I could be princess.
Yes.
I'm so wearing princess attire, guys.
It's called work
It's a
clothes.
wonderful outfit check. We got the pants, the tank top. It's wonderful.
So whenever you are bringing your family along for the journey, you want to make sure that you're not trying to make it to where they're not going to enjoy what it is you're trying to do. So you know how whenever we first got out here, it was a big change
Oh yeah,
from where we were at before.
definitely.
So to establish a little bit of context, we had a big house
2-story house, too,
with a little bit of land. We had about 2 acres,
roughly.
but there were lots of people around us.
Too many.
Way too
Yeah,
many.
way too many.
We had a lot of people that lived close to us.
We can just take a fishing pole and cast it on their front porch and knock on the door and ring the doorbell.
Yeah,
Probably.
it was pretty bad, and we wanted to homestead. Now, what does that look like to your mind? What do you think of when you think about homesteading? I think about chickens,
Plants.
Self-reliant people.
plants,
Self-reliant people that tend to their gardens and stuff, and
gardening,
having their own livestock.
Bees, worms.
bees and worms. Yeah, absolutely.
People typically
Goats.
they'll can.
Goats, canning.
Conservation things.
Now, where we lived at before, people would walk by our house because it was along a busy road, and there was a sidewalk that ran in front of our house. And how many times did we see people gawking as they walked by?
Or even
Hundreds
slow
of
their
times.
car
They'll
down
slow
and
their
just
car
kind of
down.
like, what's going on with these people?
So
It's
we
hilarious.
knew what we wanted to do, but we didn't have, at least at first anyways, a plan about how to get there. And where we were at before, we couldn't get there. So the old saying, you can't get there from here.
No, you really can't.
Where we were living before, you could not get there from there. It wasn't possible. So the only solution then was to move.
That was the only thing.
Yes, but we wanted to buy land and do this even whenever we was even dating.
Right, we wanted this a long time ago, but we had to go through steps along the way to get us there. So when we came out here, we pulled the camper. A few months later, we pulled a U-Haul trailer, and it was just the four of us.
And the dogs.
Yeah, well, just four of us and the dogs, and the chickens. We brought the chickens with us. It almost felt like the Beverly Hillbillies. The only thing that we were missing
Put somebody tied to the roof.
was someone on the roof.
You can bring grandma.
Yes, we could have brought Grandma along then, couldn't we? That would have made the journey complete.
You really would have.
And the interesting thing is, of course, we were heading from North Carolina to Arkansas, whereas the Beverly Hillbillies were heading from Arkansas to California. So that was the difference there. And we were heading here.
Plot twist.
But we knew whenever we got out here, well, we wanted to make this successful, but we had to get everyone on board. We had to make sure that it was something we could ease ourselves into a little bit. The old saying, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
And we had to do that. When we first got here, we had to do the one bite at a time approach.
You really did.
And for those who haven't followed us in the past, when we tell our story, we talk about this. We talk about the journey that we went through to get to where we are at today. Being able to, first of all, get the land, walk the land. My advice, if you buy land, don't buy it sight unseen if you can avoid it. If you do, if you're in a situation where you put a deposit or you lock something in on that, you do want to make sure you get out there as quick as you can to evaluate the land and make sure it's going to work right.
Yeah.
So that was one of our first journeys, was actually you and I. We came out here before we brought our kids out here.
My babysitter.
You had one.
I had one.
So that was our first journey, though, was to come out here, walk the land, and make sure this would work for what we were wanting it to work for. So when we came out here, we walked it, we visited, with some of the neighbors. We talked with the neighbor across the street. And we're not talking about close neighbors, by the way. We're talking about neighbors that are about a quarter-mile line of sight from where we're at any given point on the
attacked by a
property.
bug. I'm sorry.
So was I. I'm like,
I was like flicking him, moving him away. I don't know what it is. But
around here, you don't know.
I don't know.
So when we came out here, we evaluated the land. We made sure it was going to work. And again, all we had was just a driveway, which was not much of a driveway. It was an old
No.
four-wheel drive path.
It was like
Even
closed
that,
in with the
It
trees
was
like
pretty
this.
rough. Pretty rugged, for sure.
And the trees overgrew the driveway, and it had this almost Scooby-Doo-esque kind of feel to
I
it.
kind of
really
hated
did.
getting rid of it, but yeah,
It
I
was
really
pretty
kind of
though,
liked
still.
that.
It was
Kind
pretty.
of opened it up.
But it was definitely rugged. It was all dirt. There was holes in the driveway.
Well, there were big rocks, and even still today,
Yeah.
we've actually added gravel on top of them. But there were big rocks that were right in the middle of it.
Our driveway is actually better than the main road.
This is true.
Very true. They have zip codes on there. All potholes have zip codes.
Yeah, the main road does have. I think you're right. The potholes have their own area
The
code
potholes
or
have
zip
their own area
code.
codes,
They're
zip
pretty
codes.
bad. I was telling her earlier, you could probably hide a Volkswagen bus inside of some of our potholes on the main road. But,
It's very accurate though.
but these are things you do have to get used to. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
again, where we lived at before, if you would have had those things, people would have been calling the city hall complaining. They've been calling the county office
The
complaining.
grass is an inch too high. They'll be complaining.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Grass is too high. They complain. You know, around here, it's not like that.
Mm-mm.
And that's actually what we wanted. We do not want to live in a world like that, in a place like that, in an area like that. If that's your thing, I definitely say good for you. But
Not mine.
You got better tolerance than we do.
yes. So we got out here and we wanted to get a little bit of semblance of normalcy, and of course having a generator, to your point, was one of those things that we did. But we had to know how to use that resource properly. Running the generator full blast 24 hours a day would get very expensive. It's not practical, and it's not necessary even. So campers have batteries on them for a reason, and you can hook up your generator to your camper. It will charge your batteries. They're not going to power all of your devices in the same way. In most cases, in yours it might be different. Certainly look into that and see.
But you can daisy chain your batteries too to add a bigger
You
bank
can
like
you
did.
can add batteries for additional battery storage, which is what we did. The camper had one battery at first. We added a second one, and then before it was over with, we had two more. So we had 4 batteries that were hooked up to the camper, all at 12 volts. We didn't change the voltage, but they did allow us to be able to have a lot greater storage capacity through 4 batteries. As opposed to just using 1 or 2.
Plus, also, we bought items that you can charge and use too. We found fans that you can charge up and that you can use several hours to help circulate.
USB battery
Yeah,
fans.
because it gets stuffy in your camper. It gets stuffy, and that would help too. And all kinds of things you can look for to help out.
Well, one thing you'll find out about a camper is that it heats up very well in the daytime when it's warm, and it cools down very well at night when it's cool. But if you're trying to keep the camper cool when it's hot outside, or keep it warm when it's cold outside,
It's fighting.
you're right. You have a challenge. So we ran the generator at night mostly, but we did not run the generator at night all night. Now, with that said, we did at first.
A couple hours to charge the batteries.
Well, we did to try to help charge the batteries up at night a little bit, but we also ran it at night for another reason. Y'all remember why?
So I can cook.
No, beyond that.
Your mask.
No, it wasn't to see that. No, it was actually because of predators in the area.
Yeah, I was right.
So-
I was thinking all the other things is the
I
other
was
things.
thinking
I
the
wasn't
bear.
thinking about that.
That's immediately what came to my mind.
So whenever we came on the property, we were told we had one bear. We were told we had one, and they nicknamed the bear Yogi. That was his nickname. And it kind of conjures up this concept, this idea of this bear, which is mischievous, but otherwise nice and friendly.
No,
Yeah,
Folks, put that out of your mind.
it's not.
no,
You know,
it's not like that.
there's a big popular joke going around. Which would you rather find in the woods, a bear or a man? You know, the reality is that if you're in the woods and you come across either of those two individuals, it all depends on where you're at
For sure, distance.
and what are you expecting.
Yeah.
If you're walking in the national forest on a marked trail, you're going to encounter other human beings.
That's pretty.
That's normal.
That's supposed to happen.
What you don't want to do is encounter a bear while you're walking along the wildlife trail. Now, with that said, if you're walking on your own property on the back 40, so to speak, and you come across a man back there who's not supposed to be there, that's a different story.
It's a big problem.
Yeah.
Right, that's a big problem. So, you know, on this property, though, you need to understand we have bears, we have raccoons, which really are not much of a threat except to your
Coyotes.
chickens.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Coyotes.
We have coyotes,
Bobcats.
absolutely.
Bobcat.
We have bobcats.
Lynx.
And a cougar, too.
We've seen a lynx, yes. All the
Mountain
same
lion.
family. Well, that's the thing. We've seen a mountain lion, too. So we know that there is at least one mountain lion that is in this area somewhere.
And that's one of our neighbors that got camper.
Yes. So we know that these are wildlife that do live in the area, among the other things you would expect, like
Turkey and
deer and
deer.
turkey.
Yeah.
And,
Normal
Not too long
stuff.
ago, actually.
Right. So you expect to find these things.
I mean, you're moving into their territory.
But when we first showed up, we were told, hey, you have these issues, you know, a bear, you know, there are coyotes, and those were the two biggest predators I was mostly concerned about at the time. But running the generator at night helps to ensure that most of these things are going to stay away from the extreme noise that
Yeah.
a generator produces.
Yeah.
Now you need to keep that in mind too, because generators produce noise, and if you're in an area where you don't necessarily want to disturb everybody around you, that's a different
Makes
issue.
a lot of noise.
But for us, that was not a problem. So running the generator at night worked out to our advantage. It let us run our fans. It let us run the heat system if we needed the heat system. It let us take care of charging devices. You know, if you have, you know, other needs or things of that nature, then it allows you to be able to do that too, like CPAP machines or BiPAP or whatever you're doing for breathing at night if you have sleep apnea. So all these other things they do allow you to function more normally as a result. Now there are alternative solutions which we can talk about too, but running the generator at night helped.
It really did.
And it also allowed us to have a little piece of normalcy. And what else? Security.
Yeah, we was able to pick up one channel on a little TV. And it was like Me TV. We plug it up and we watch a little bit of that, or we had a DVD player.
I mean,
And we brought DVDs and we watch one movie a night and we pick one up.
Right.
Pick one out to watch.
We still found ways to enjoy, you know, things that we typically would, even if it was just for a little bit of time. And like watching a movie was one of them as a family or something like that. We still found time to do that.